In this short video, I'm going to share with you how to run a rent-to-rent business profitably in the UK. Hi, my name's Mark Lloyd. I'm co-founder of Property Master Academy and I've been a property investor for over 16 years. One of the first things you need to do is carry out your research, your due diligence on the area that you're going to actually run the rent-to-rent business. Now, the rent-to-rent business should really be within an hour about where you are. That's primarily because, unlike a lot of other strategies, rent-to-rent is more involved. You're unlikely to be able to remotely manage it, so you need to be closer to the area, and I would suggest within an hour of where you live would be a good start. So carrying out your due diligence, what do I mean by that? Well, look at the area, look at what is happening. Is there regeneration happening? What businesses are there? Are there universities? Are there hospitals, and so on? Because that's really where your tenant demand is going to come from. And part of your due diligence, of course, is checking that tenant demand. So how do you do that? Well, one simple way of doing it is checking on the website spareroom.co.uk. That's where you're probably going to advertise your rooms as well, or at least one of the places you're going to advertise your rooms. So it's a good place to start. And the first thing you want to do when you key onto spareroom.co.uk, enter the postcode or the name of the town where you're looking to do the rent-to-rent, and then click on Rooms Wanted, and it will come up with a number of people looking, and obviously their adverts from doing so. Then you want to check the other button which says Rooms Offered, and that will come up with a number of rooms that are being offered in that area. What you want to have is a differential between the two. Clearly, for it to be a high demand area, you want the number of people looking to be greater than the number of rooms offered. So obviously greater than 1:1 ratio. An ideal ratio is 2:1. That means it's a very high demand area. But as long as you've got above 1 in terms of the number of people looking compared to those rooms offered, then that's a good place to start. The next thing you need to do is put a dummy advert up. Now that could be done on Spare Room, but it could also be done on some of the social media channels like Instagram and Facebook. And the dummy ad, what your objective is there is to see how many responses you're going to get over a 7-day period. And if you achieve something like 6-7 responses over that time period, that would suggest there is sufficient demand to help fill your rooms. So you've now done your due diligence, you've checked demand, there's sufficient demand to run the model. Next, you need to run your numbers. So make sure that you take into account those fixed costs, particularly your council tax, that's if you're paying it, utility bills, broadband, water rates, those kind of things. But don't forget also about your startup costs. You may have had some, you may not, but if you have had some startup costs, for instance, redecoration, furniture, maybe putting up a stud wall, then make sure you include those and amortise them over the length of the contract. One thing that I see a lot of rent-to-renters missing out is when it comes towards the end of the contract, they've forgotten that they need to put the property back to the condition it was in when they first took it on. So my suggestion is that when you first take on that contract, you put aside a small amount each month to make sure you've got those costs covered, so that if you need to maybe say take down that stud wall again, maybe redecorate, you've got those costs covered when you get to the end of your contract. And lastly, make sure you use the appropriate contract. Now, there are a few different contracts as far as rent-to-rent in the UK is concerned, and it's essential you get some advice. We provide these to our mentees, but if you're not on our mentorship program, then make sure you talk to a solicitor who understands rent-to-rent contracts. And I assure you, there's not that many of them. So speak to someone who's already doing rent-to-rent and see which solicitors they used and get your own bespoke contract drawn up. That's always the best way to do it anyway. But as I said, if you're on a mentorship program, you do get access to those, the ones that we've had drawn up, which cost us several £1000s to do so. I hope you found this short video useful. If you have, please hit the subscribe button and also the notification bell so you get notified of other videos as and when they arise. And if you are on your rent-to-rent journey, leave some comments below. Love to hear from you. Let's see how you're getting on and see if we can help you. Also take a look at the videos that are now appearing on your screen, as they'll help you in your property journey. Thanks for listening.